to the Death Head Dice 2012 Spring Friendly Round 1 Recap Part 2, where we look at the comments from YouTube and Mini Wargaming, as well as throw a little bit of math hammer at you. So we'll start off with Round 1, Game 3. This is Orcs versus Chaos Space Marines. So this is my son Spencer versus our buddy Cody. Chris made a comment about how Chaos had corrupted these Space Marines quite well, and I think most people recognize those Space Marines as being the Assault and Black Reach set, which Cody has done a great job, including the Dreadnought, which had some change, which Waboss79 also commented on. Disturbed Spider, shouldn't Spencer's Luda have gotten a cover save because the Orc boys were in front of them? You are correct, they should have. We didn't take that into account. Peter got you a toaster. It doesn't look he rolled for Gazgul's Slow and Purposeful. He actually, Spencer did. I think we may have missed it once. I just didn't call it out in every round. And Sub C666, not enough boys. And there's over 30 some odd boys on the table. If you look at my games, that's actually quite good. Macho Mouse made a comment just about how having a large group of boys acts as a distraction. And Jaded Knight, it's nice to watch some noobs, not to get stressed about rules or any rules for some reason. And that was the whole point of this tournament, is just to have a fun game with the guys. I don't think any of us could be considered competitive players, and I think in the last year we've maybe played 10-15 games combined, so we're still fairly novice, but like to be able to have a game, and having them up on the channel has actually helped us learn a bunch as well. So now Stingray 42285 and BKBB214A both commented about the what happened when the Dreadnought there just got wrecked. It got a second immobilized roll, and unfortunately we followed the mob mentality, and everyone said no, second immobilized is destroyed, not weapon destroyed. So Sniped 678 and Orc Benji both commented on my pronunciation of Gazgul. I have a habit of calling it Gazrathal, not sure why. And then Hughes won, or I-22, the Space Marines won the first round of combat because the Orcs, because of the mob rule, are fearless and should have taken armor saves. The difference between with the wounds between the armor resolution, or between combat resolution, and that's correct. But Spencer was rolling leadership test for some reason. I think it was just a misunderstanding there. So, Jaded Knight, target priority for the boom gun should be the Marines. It's not a good weapon for vehicles or for the or 2+ saves like the Terminators. And I agree with you 100%. Spencer just was picking his own targets there, and sometimes, yeah, your priority isn't always the best one. So, and on to. And BK BB214 is making the same reference about the Dreadnought. And move on to part 4. So our part 3 of the videos. A couple comments about people reading their codexes and their rule books. I agree. Everyone should always make sure they're well prepared, although I think we all make mistakes on occasion. Sub C666, no wah on Happy Face. We actually did a wah, I just didn't film it properly. So Peter got you a toaster. I love that username. Those Chaos Marines think they're Tyranids with all those fleet moves, and that's something I called Cody on as well. I wasn't aware that some of these guys didn't have fleet. The Chaos Commander also had some bad dice and some foolish tactics. He should have used the Demon Prince to take out to go after the Ludas. You'll notice I sort of paraphrase some of these just because it makes it a little bit easier, rather than going after that tiny boy squad, which is a valid point. And then the Lil 2000, Orcs need to learn they're not shooters, they're assaulters. Should have charged in many times. There's a few times, yeah, and if you look at, there's in the statistic, there's a number of times the Orcs just weren't assaulting at all, which you're right. I mean, they definitely, and there's a couple times the Deff Cop just forgot to retaliate. So definitely some need to work on that. Although with that many guns at times, it's tempting to focus on it. And Jaded Knight commented on the building walls are just an distraction. We talked about whether or not the boys could get through them. And they said and I've actually talked to Matt at Mini Wargame about this when we had our game, is as long as you define it before the start of the game, you're good. No, we didn't do that, so that's probably why we left it. So if you look at the statistics, everything's about average, although the saves for the Orcs is really high, and it's higher than the Marines, which you would find a little bit surprising considering what their saves are. But it was a good game overall. So on to round 1, game 4. This is Nick's Black Templars versus the Paul Space Marines. One of the first questions in this was from, I can't even, Nabra. Are you going to use the new rules, or are you going to stay with the old for this tournament? And Chris says, please stay with the old ones. And the plan is to go consistently through the entire game with or at least the entire tournament with the 5th edition rules. And then PJR33 said, did the Devastators use the Signum? They did. I didn't comment, I didn't call it out in the video, but Paul did mention that he did with the Devastators. So, on to part 2. You'll notice the crawl moves at different speeds depending on how much text is in there. Part 1 and 2 of this didn't have a lot, and this is also the last video in our series, so you'll find there hasn't been as much time for people to comment on. But the Templar, I didn't know the Land Raider fired all of its. I don't know how the Land Raider fired all its weapons. I thought it was stunned, and that leads into a lot of the comments under part 3. And I'm going to paraphrase this because it's a lot and it will scan by a lot faster and I won't be able to keep up. But basically what Nick was doing for this game, he was following the rules from the original Black Templar Codex, the 4th edition book, and not referring to any of the rule corrections that were in the FAQ that were posted on the website. He was aware that they were there, but I think in this case he just forgot to look at them before when he was putting this list together, and the rules. So basically the point that was brought up was how did he move and still fire? And I think in the example that he was called on, he actually was moving when stunned and fired both weapons, which he shouldn't have been able to, or both of the Hurricane Bolters, which he shouldn't have been able to do. The proper rule says that Land Raider Crusaders have extra armor, and because with the power of the Machine Spirit, so extra armor turns a stunned result down to a shaken result, and then the power of Machine Spirit allows you to fire at least one weapon at that point. So basically, he was not able to fire. He should have been only able to fire one weapon, but it was a case where after some serious discussions about the codex and the wording of it, because he felt it was still a little bit gray in some of what it was trying to cover off. But I think in the end we got it, and we know for his next game going into round 2. And overall, and actually a quick question to everyone out there, if you can comment below, any suggestions on how to sort of make sure that these numbers are this math hammer numbers are good? Because they're a quick look at a quick overview, but things like template weapons where technically it's one shot, but you're getting like 7 or 8 hits. There's an example when Paul shoots with his plasma, he takes out like 4 or 5 guys after wounding 4 or 5 guys after taking out or hitting 6 or 7 of them, and that really skews the numbers, I find. So just any suggestions on how to maybe cover that a little bit better would be appreciated, because I've racked my brain around it, and also I don't want to take too much time, because to be honest, this video took a lot longer than I anticipated it to do. So look at the Space Marine versus the Black Templar numbers. Overall, they both were pretty close to average. I mean, the Black Templar saves were a little lower than I would have expected, and the shooting was a little bit higher than I would have expected. But overall, it was still a Black Templar victory based on, I think it was more based on tactics than on dice rolling. So thanks for watching the part 2 of this. Let me know what you think. Comment below. Any suggestions on improving the math hammer bits, or finding out if there's value in it. Just because again, those percentages aren't weighted at all. So in one round, if they got 1 shot and 1 hit, that gave me 100%. Whereas round 2, they could have gotten 40 shots and gotten say 50 or 20 hits and give you a 50%. So that doesn't necessarily skew correctly. But subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks for watching, and round 2 should be starting shortly.